Dhamma Sabaai Sabai, Dhamma Talk from the Buddha, November the 19th, 2022. Highlight: Dirty Pandita. Topic: Monastic precepts, discipline and routine are the resources which must be utilized and practiced to achieve calmness of the mind. All the objects of the mind, pleasant or unpleasant, are like poisonous cobras. If they attack and bite you, you can die. Objects are like cobra, whose poison is fierce in that they can keep the mind from being free and can make it go astray from the true Dhamma of the Buddha. It is important to understand that the true Dhamma that transforms an ordinary human being into a noble one can only be realized by putting the Buddha's teachings into practice, and not by reading textbooks or mere reasoning. And by devotion to practice, only can the determined practitioners can realize the true Dhamma and be transformed into the noble ones. Regardless of social status or wealth, everything outside or within the body and mind is only temporary shelter. The body and mind only temporarily dwell in them. That is it. If one realizes this, the truth about the way things are, then one has developed mindfulness of mental formations, sankhara. Once one is mindful of mental formations, then one would perceive various things in life indifferently, not discriminating between gains or losses. Mindfulness of mental formations is so crucial, and it was explained in a simile of two disabled kids. Two disabled kids traveling together into the woods, one with physical disability and another with a defiled mind. The physically impaired kid would know how to avoid danger and do no harm to others, while the kid with defiled mind would cause all kinds of trouble to human and even animals. Do not look for the noble one elsewhere. The noble one is here within us. Those who do not have the noble one within will always have problems regardless of where they are or with whom they socialize. Once one can let go of attachments to a sense of self and can overcome the fear of death, peace and lightness will arise within one's mind. Take the seating arrangement, for example. It should not matter where we monks are seated, at the beginning or at the end of the row. Like diamonds and gems which people consider to be of great worth, that remain precious regardless of where they are. And on top of that, by letting go of this matter, it is a good opportunity to train our minds to cut down wrong view and attachment to a sense of self. All worldly knowledge and skills are comparable to tools with blunt edges, in that they cannot cut, end all suffering, but only cause pain and problems, and would be useless if not applied together with the Buddha's teachings. Path and fruition are still relevant to our everyday living. The following teachings from Kruba Ajahn are useful in our daily life. Only the fools deny to dig the well, thinking that there is no water under the ground. Trees and forests do no harm to anyone, but evil people are harmful wherever they are, at home or at the monastery. Those who are beguiled by the world are deluded by emotions, and those who are beguiled by emotions are deluded by the world. Practitioners must train themselves to have restraint on consumption of food, sleep, and speech. Only fools overeat, oversleep, and talk endlessly. One should practice before one preaches. One should teach and train oneself until realization of virtue before teaching others, to avoid becoming dirty Pandita, knowledgeable person, or people who cannot practice what they preach. When one closes one's eye, concentrate the mind on the breath and follow the breath until the breath becomes the most important and the only object of the mind. Then one will gradually realize that regardless of the posture one assumes, Consciousness arises and concentrates here at the breath. Mindfulness arises and concentrates here at the breath. Thailand is regarded as the land of Buddhism, with more than 70 to 80% of its population registered as Buddhists based on population registers. However, this is only true on paper, but not in practicality, as most Thais pay little attention to Dhamma practice. This is comparable to a poor man dressing himself with branded luxury items, but lacking working capital or tools to make a living. A life of struggle and poverty. Take chicken and ducks as an example. They do not care about diamonds or gems, as they see no value in these jewelry. All they care about is rice and paddies or whatever they consider food. Despite the fact that diamonds and gems are of great worth and can be turned into significant amount of rice and paddies, enough to feed millions of them. Those who do not understand suffering, cause of suffering, end of suffering, and the path that leads to the end of suffering, or the Four Noble Truths, do not know the value of right concentration and morality. Thus, without right view, humans are no better than chickens and ducks. Most people do not realize the great worth of right concentration and therefore use their concentration power on something else, other than keeping morality or Dhamma practice, which is such a waste of this golden opportunity to be born as a human being. Some have wandered from a place of poverty to Thailand and then to Korea or other Western countries, hoping to gain more wealth, but never once put forth effort to understand the philosophy of sufficiency economy, work on self-development, or cultivate morality and the mind. While seeking out happiness from sensual pleasures, all human beings mostly put forth superficial effort on maintaining monastic discipline, rules and moral conduct, wasting the time in this precious life day in and day out. Those who live such lives are heedless, arrogant, and wasting the precious time of their lives. As a result of taking delight in sensual pleasures and heedless living from very young to old age, most human beings and devas have a rebirth in lower realms, and no one can go beyond old age, sickness, and death. All of us should put down our arrogance now. Some people have a misunderstanding that practice is only limited to ordained male, and thus lay people or women cannot practice. This is not true. Anyone can practice, regardless of their gender or monastic status. On the contrary, it is apparent that not all ordained ones practice with dedication. Some city monks have lax discipline and loose practice because they think that, unlike monks from the Thai forest traditions or the forest monks, they are not required to practice. Some monks even use branded luxury items and live a lay life accepting and spending money, watching movies and listening to music. Monks with such behaviors, regardless of their status as a city or forest monks, have wrong view, miccha ditthi, causing stain and damage to Buddhism. If one has a clear understanding about the practice, one would know that everyone and anyone can practice regardless of gender, monastic status. Whether one is a city or forest monk, or even whether one is a Buddhist or not. If we have right view and right practice, we can all achieve a good and skillful living, a life guided by wisdom, cultivated from both knowledge and practice. Everyone should have a firm goal in life, to attain Nibbana, and be responsible for making it happen by way of practice to cultivate morality, an art of a noble living. By walking the path, we all get to learn to attain truly noble wealth, not the fake one. If we do not aim for path, fruition, and Nibbana, we are no different than animals, hungry ghosts, demons, and hell beings. Our lives would be ruined and in vain, moga purisa, comparable to garbage of no value, only causing trouble to ourselves and others. Therefore, it is important that we follow the path of practice of the Buddha. Do not get lost.